What's up guys, Darkdally here playing Ghost Recon Wildlands, and today I want to go ahead and continue the comparison of the M16 versus the M4. And I want to do a combat effectiveness test today. This is this portion of it that I want to do, so it's going to be damage and like suppressive ability, things like that. It's kind of hard to precisely test damage because some of the shots will be headshots, some will be body shots, some will be crits, some won't. But what we can do is I'm going to stop this convoy out here, as I said in the last video. We're going to stop this convoy out here at a couple hundred meters. That's why I've got the big rifle here. We're going to stop that out there. And then I'll do it a couple times, clip it together. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to run a few tests of the general combat effectiveness of these rifles. I'm going to show you the modifications I've chosen to use on them. I think this should give a pretty good setup. We're using standard barrels on both, so it's nice and fair. V2 compensator, V4 foregrip, rangefinder, and I decided to use the ACOG scope. This scope can be a little wonky with some of the rifles, but I've tested it and they both shoot right on with it. So this should be a good setup. So once this convoy gets here, it's a ways out there right now, but once it gets here, I'll get it stopped and we'll get this going. So here we have the M16, and this thing performed pretty well. I mean, like really well. Now that I'm in editing and I'm watching this footage right now, right here, we're shooting about 300 meters. And the guys are taking a few more shots to drop than they would at, say, 200. But I found it really easy to engage with the M16 even at this range. Now, I do want to note that I'm not on extreme difficulty. I meant to, but I left it on advanced. But it really doesn't matter. What matters is that both rifles were tested on the same difficulty. So the M16 is taking about 2 shots. Under 200 meters, it looks to be about 2 shots that the M16 is taking to drop these guys. Now this shot here, this is taking quite a few shots, but notice the guy's also 345 meters away. I wanted to do some long range stuff and then also rush the trucks and, you know, get in a situation where I need to lay down suppressive fire and take the guys. So I kind of did a little bit of everything. Long distance, it was accurate though. I had no problem hitting the guy, it just took a few hits. But once they start rushing me, it's really just one little blip per guy. And I found the gun really good. I mean, it compared with the M4 straight across on all the handling and everything, you know, all the other characteristics. And right here, it's performing really, really well. The rate of fire is slower than the M4, but not too slow. It really feels good. Okay, and now here is the M4. The M4 performed well also. I did have a little bit more trouble kind of sighting in the long-range shots. The front sight post on the M4 is not as big in the scope as it is with the M16, and it took me a minute to adjust. Now that said, it looks like the M4 is taking a few more shots than the M16 did, which makes sense because the M16 does say, you know, it does say that it does more damage, and I think that it does. When these guys, even when I'm firing on these guys at close range, it was still taking sometimes 3, maybe 4 shots to drop them. Of course, again, forgiving that some of these are body shots, some are headshots, some may be crits. I can't see because I have my crosshair turned off currently. The crosshair, you know, will indicate when you get a critical hit or, you know, what have you. Overall, they really came out pretty equal. This is my view. This is what I'm saying right now from this standpoint here in editing. Now that I'm watching this footage, they're really pretty equal. But the M16 does do more damage and is just as good, if not, in my opinion, maybe better at this kind of suppressive fire, because it's just slightly slower fire rate, kind of put off the recoil and made it not quite as bad. Just that small delay between the shots kind of evened it out for me. Okay. It felt to me like, this is my first impressions before I've gone to editing. I just finished this run. It felt to me like the M16 definitely seems to do more damage. Of course, that damage decreases over range. Some of the shots that I was shooting around, I want to say I took some shots with it, 349, about 350 meters with it, and it was taking a few shots to take them down. But the M16, once I got closer, took noticeably less shots, I think, and we'll see in here in editing, and you've probably already seen. I think that it took less shots than the M4. The M4 felt like it was taking about 4 shots per guy, and of course it has a faster rate of fire. So a lot of this is going to come down to preference. There's a couple other differences as well. The front sight post in the M16 is higher in the scope than with the M4. If you notice here, the top of my sight is right at the bottom of that second mil dot. If we switch back to my M16, you notice that the front sight post, well, the scope in general appears different. I was using the scope like this, but you notice the front sight post actually goes all the way up, the top of the sight that is, goes all the way up to the bottom of that horseshoe reticle. I found this a pretty good solid test. Both rifles performed really well. I tried to take long shots as well as, medium range shots, and I also, at the 4 convoys I took here to do this video, every single time I made sure to approach a little bit and get them to rush me so I could test each rifle and its suppressive fire against, an advancing enemy. And my opinion, the M16 fared just a little better here. Its slower rate of fire, it is a bit slower rate of fire, but it's perfectly manageable. It's a good rate of fire. So my take from all this, guys, plus whatever you've seen in editing, since I've already by now gone through it and voiced over that section, my feeling is it felt like the M16 took a few fewer shots. They both felt just as accurate. For some reason, I actually had an easier time aiming the M16. That's probably just me, and the reason that is because the sight meets the bottom of the reticle. It made it, and you can still see the little mil dot hashes there across the, going horizontally across the sight. Maybe it's just me. It made it easier for me to aim this. That's probably nothing, though. So I felt this fired slower, but it seemed to do just a tad more damage. I'll leave the preference up to you guys. You've seen this, so you've seen the comparison today and yesterday. They have identical handling characteristics, it seems, as we tested with the crosshair. They have identical recoil. They have identical magazine reload time. Really, the difference comes down to the look that you want to have, whether or not you have this weapon, of course, because it comes in the Predator Ghost Pack, which costs 2,600 Ubisoft points. So it comes down to preference and whether or not you have it. That said, though, and what I wanted to show is that this is a perfectly viable companion you can use in place of any other gun in the game. This will hold its own. The only flaw we've found so far is that it shoots way low with the iron sights. So if you shoot this with the iron sights, don't. Yeah, if you do it, don't do it. So that's about it for this, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to tell me what you think in the comments below. I'll be looking at the other weapon that comes in this pack, the R93 sniper rifle. I will be looking at that very soon. I've had a lot of fun testing these, and now I have a pretty good idea that I know now that the M16, I'm not trying to say necessarily it's better than the M4. I think it's preference. But what I have proven, I do believe, is that it's a totally viable weapon, and it can stand with the best of them. Most of those enemies only took 2 shots, give or take. Some are going to be crits, some might have been headshots. My average shots that I was taking under 250 meters were about 2-shot kills, it seems. And so that's my opinion on that. It's a totally viable, darn good weapon. There's some inconsistencies with it that people have pointed out that are just cosmetic. Other than that, though, it's definitely worth using, and it may be worth buying the Predator pack just to get. It's up to you. Alright, guys, thank you so much for watching. It's been a real pleasure. I'm Darkdally. I will catch you all next time.